Hi, this video is about the law of karma. And I'm going to take you very briefly through an overview of the law of karma. And you can just review this video. And then in our next session, we'll go through everything in more detail. But it'll be good if you've studied this and have a little background, we'll go faster than when we meet. Okay. So let me pull up my single spreadsheet that I prepared for you. So, what is the law of karma? You all know generally what the law of karma is, which is basically as you sow, so shall you reap. So whatever you do stays with you or stays with your subtle body, and at some stage it bears fruit. So you have to account for and you have to pay for everything that you do, the good things and the bad things. But not everything happens immediately. And you'll find lots of instances where someone does a lot of harm, bad things, and then good things are happening to him. Or vice versa, when someone is doing a lot of good things, but they can never seem to get a break. Bad things keep happening to them. So how does that get accounted for in the law of karma? So to understand that, we have to understand the law properly and what are the different aspects of the law of karma. So let's first look at how the law works in general, overall, and um, the different karmas. So, like I said, all actions bear fruit, but they don't bear fruit immediately. So think about it like a bank account. You have a big account in which you can keep putting money in, and and then keep withdrawing over time, but the balance remains. So this bank account of your account of all your karmas, good karmas and bad karmas, the full account is called the Sanchita karmas. This is the sum total of all your karmas through all your different lifetimes. And they never go away. They're always there with you and with the jiva. And they all have to be accounted for, but not in one go. So you could have a lot of Sanchita karmas because they have been gathered over many, many lifetimes. Now, how it works is that a portion of these Sanchita karmas are taken out of that account, of that big, huge portfolio of karmas, and provided to you for a particular lifetime. And that's called the Prarabdha karma. Prarabdha means that which has started. That means the fructification of these karmas have started. That's why they are provided to you for a particular lifetime. And your lifetime remains as long as your prarabdha karmas remain. The moment all the prarabdha karmas are accounted for, that's when the body drops. And you go to the next lifetime, and then you get a new set of prarabdha karmas. Then during any lifetime, you're also accounting new karmas. So, for example, right now I'm living here, I've got my prarabdha karmas, which decided where I should be born, which world I should be in, what kind of environment I should grow up in, who my parents are going to be, all of you, my brothers and sisters and cousins, they are all this that I've got. This is a result of my prarabdha karmas, which are the karmas which have been meant to be exhausted this lifetime. But I'm also doing new karmas every time. Some good karmas, some bad karmas. Those karmas are called agami karmas. Now, some of these agami karmas are fructified in this lifetime. So they are neutralized. I do something bad and something bad happens to me in return, and it's over. I paid the price for my bad karma. And sometimes I do something good and nothing good happens, or nothing bad happens. That agami karma, the karma which has not been fructified, goes into my total pool of Sanchita karmas. So with every lifetime, I'm adding to the Sanchita karmas. Okay. So Sanchita karma is the total set of karmas. Prarabdha karma is what you take out for a particular lifetime. And Agami karmas are what you newly generated karmas which are being added to the Sanchita karmas. Now you got to remember, let's say to keep a very, very simple example, let's say we have a Sanchita karma total of 1,000 karmas. Just making it very, very simple. Of course, the number is huge, but let's say 1,000 karmas. out of which you have 900 great karmas and 100 bad karmas, right? 900 punyas and 100 papas. Now you'd look at this person and say, hey, this guy has done pretty well for himself. 900 punyas and 100 papas only. So hopefully this guy should get a good janam next time and should get a good life. But not really, not necessarily. It's possible that Ishwar, who decides what the prarabdha karma should be, decides to choose first most of the prarabdha karma. So in a lifetime, let's say he's given 100 karmas are chosen. Out of that 100, 75 could be bad karmas and 25 could be good karmas. So that means in the particular lifetime, most of the bad karmas of a person have been chosen to be prarabdha karmas. So that life is going to be pretty miserable for that person, although the person has done great things. And an example of this, by the way, was when the Pandavas, when they, this is a story, but in Mahabharata, when they all died and walked to heaven, they realized that the the Kauravas were in heaven already. And they said, why are the Kauravas in heaven? Because they have done so many bad things. Why are they in heaven? And the God answered them and said, they are in heaven because they had some good karmas. We are trying to exhaust them first. After they are exhausted, they will go to hell. And conversely, actually, the Pandavas first went to hell. And they had to exhaust their bad karmas first, and then they went on to heaven. So the idea is to say that just because someone has a lot of good karmas doesn't mean that the bad karmas are going to be overshadowed. It is, everything has to be accounted for. The sequence in which they are going to be accounted for is not in our hands. That's why we say we are not the karam phaldata. Ishwar is the karam phaldata. That famous slok of Gita, that we are only responsible for our actions, not for the results. Well, we are responsible for the results because our actions drive the results. But which result will come when, that we are not responsible for. Okay. So that's Sanchita, Prarabdha, and Agami karmas. Now, one more little thing about Agami karmas. That is the concept of Drishta and Adrishta Phalam, or Phal. Drishta Phal means the result which is seen from a karma. Adrishta Phal is result which is not seen. So, like I was telling you earlier, all karmas that we do, they will have a consequence. Sometimes the consequence happens in this lifetime, very soon after the karma is done. That's called a drishta phal. Drisht means that which can be seen. So I can see the result. And you can see there are people around us who might believe in the law of cause and effect, even though they have no concept of the law of karma, because they see drishta phal. They see that they did something bad and some bad result has happened as a result. They see the drishta phal. But a lot of the phal is what's called adrishta phal. You do something good and nothing comes back to you good, not in this lifetime. Adrishta phal is the important part, which the adrishta phal karams, they are the ones that go and get into your sanchita karmas. And adrishta phalam are of two types, pap and punya. So when we say किसी को पाप चढ़ता है, that means the adrishta phalam is a bad adrishta phalam. It's a pap adrishta phalam, or it could be a punya adrishta phalam. So why do we say pap and punya? Because when we say don't do this, we say pap chadega. We are not saying that something bad will happen to you in this lifetime. It just means that this is going to be held into account. God is seeing, God is all seeing and everything. You will pay for this pap. Maybe not right now. That's why this concept of pap and punya has been established in our philosophy, in our culture, which is to say that the adrishta phalam is accounted for through paps and punyas. And these paps and punyas then get accounted or added to the sanchita karmas. So hopefully all this is clear. If not, please feel free to ask questions and we'll talk more about this. I'm happy to give you any more explanation. We can also discuss this when we meet next. Now, a few other things I want to say about the law of karma. First thing is that the law of dharma and the law of karma go hand in hand. You'll see that there can be no law of karma if there was no law of dharma, and vice versa. Because we say, what do we say about law of karma? A pap will have a bad impact, a punya will have a good impact. Do punya, that's what law of karma says. But that's what law of dharma also says. What dharma is, law of dharma defines what is a good action versus what's a bad action. Like, how do we know what's a good action and what's a bad action? So we all want to do good things, but what is that good thing? What that good thing is defined by the law of dharma. And the law of dharma says that anything which is good for society as a whole, in consistent with the welfare of society, that is a good thing. So for me, as an individual, as a human being, I can see what's good for society around me. In fact, I have a natural feeling for that, what I'm supposed to do. Let's say I decide I'm going to be a teacher. So teaching you is a good thing for the society. For me, that is my dharma. And one of you maybe doing maybe a doctor. Many of you are doctors. So for you, your dharma is going to be a good doctor, take care of your patients, right? So these dharmas are easy to see. Now imagine the case of an animal, let's say a scorpion. This is another very important, very famous story in the Upanishads about a scorpion and a sadhu. So I'll take a little diversion. One time, a sadhu was walking along the banks of a river and he saw a scorpion there. And the scorpion was on the edge of the water and he was almost like drowning in the river. So the sadhu went, because he was a sadhu, he believes in non-violence, he went, picked up the scorpion and took it back to away from the water. And as he was dropping the scorpion on the ground, the scorpion bit him. And the sadhu, he said, ouch, and then just, started walking away. And then he found that the scorpion was going back into the water. And he was back going to be able to drown. So he went back and picked up the scorpion again and brought him back to safe ground. And again, the scorpion bit him. So this happened a number of times. So a passerby was coming by. He said, he spoke to the sadhu. He said, he saw all this. He said, what are you doing? Why are you doing the same thing again and again? And the scorpion is just biting you. And sadhu said, I'm doing this because this is my dharma. My dharma is to save another living being. I don't want to, see it come to harm. And the scorpion is doing the biting because that is scorpion's dharma. Scorpion's existence and his contribution to the ecosystem, you can say, is by biting and killing and prey and eating. So that's what a scorpion has been designed to do. That's what it needs to do. If it doesn't do that, the ecosystem will not flourish. So that is the scorpion's dharma. So a dharma is a very relative concept. We can't say that an act is a dharmic act, regardless of who does it or under what circumstance it's done. So all these things, the circumstances, the person's profession, the person's expectations, all these things go into determining what a dharma is. And that's what the law of dharma says. But in general, dharma is that which feels right. And a simple sort of a solution to dharma is do unto others what you want them to do to you. So if you keep that in mind, dharma will be easy to follow. But remember now, that will determine whether you're doing the right karma or not. So the law of karma depends upon dharma. So the same action when I take would be a punya for me. But if someone else, if a soldier takes that action, it may not be a punya for him. A soldier in a war, in a dharmic war, can be killing his enemies. And that may not be a pap for him. But if I go kill somebody, that'll be a pap for me. So that's why both the laws are intertwined. The other thing to remember is that law of karma and law of dharma depend upon free will. So if I didn't have the free will, that means if I didn't have the power of choice, then these laws mean nothing. A scorpion actually doesn't have a power of choice. So scorpion will just instinctively do what it's supposed to do. So it will not incur any punya nor incur any pap by doing that. It's only exhausting karmas. But we, human beings, have choice. So that is why it's important for us to follow dharma. If we didn't have a choice, Bhagwan Krishna wouldn't be coming here and telling us, follow dharma. We won't have a choice. There's no free will. The fact that somebody is saying, do something dharmic, it implies that we have the free will, that we could actually choose to not do the dharmic thing. Either of those two is possible, and we have to make a choice to do what is dharmic. So, dharma, free will, law of karma, they're all different aspects of the same thing, really. Emphasizing different parts of the whole thing. Okay, so that's something else I wanted to talk to you about. And then finally, this is important too. Now, I don't want to confuse you. I told you that there are two bodies, the physical body and the subtle body. But there's actually a third body. Okay, and now that you understand the physical and the subtle body, it's easier to understand that there is a third body, and that's called the Karana Sharir, or the causal body. And I promise you, there are no more. There are only three bodies. In my next video, I'm not going to introduce a fourth body. Okay, so the causal body is the Karana Sharir, and this is actually even inner to the the Sukshma Sharir, even inner to the subtle body. And what does the causal body hold? The causal body holds our karmas. I said that the karmas are held in the subtle body. That was an approximation. I didn't want to introduce the Karan body at that time, a causal body. So I said that. But in reality, the causal body holds the karmas. That's what a causal body does. And another thing that we are often confused about is samskar, because we all talk about samskar. Iske sanskar achhe hain. What does that mean? Now, to understand that, we have to understand how karmas are carried forth. So imagine karma is an action. So how can I carry an action with me in my next janam? I can't carry an action. Action is done. It's a very tangible thing. How can I carry something tangible in an intangible body like the causal body? So what happens when a karma is performed is almost like a digital record of it is kept. That record is called a samskar. With every karma, there's an impression of that karma, which is carried by us, and that impression is a samskar. So to give you an example, imagine that you have a video, you're watching a movie, and you see half of it, and then you're going out somewhere, taking a plane, say going to India, and then you say, I'll carry the movie and see the other half while I'm flying in the aircraft. So you can't carry a movie. So what do you actually carry? You don't carry the whole screen and everything. What you carry is a floppy drive, or actually a stick drive, a memory stick. And in that memory stick, you record the digital impressions of that movie. That's what is recorded in the memory stick. And when you insert the memory stick in the next computer or somewhere else, you can actually play that movie. So everything about the movie is actually there in that little digital stick, the memory stick. But you can't see it. You look at a memory stick, you don't see a movie. In fact, you can't even tell whether the memory stick is blank or has a movie on it or anything recorded on it. The recording, if you were to able to see it, would be zeros and ones. It's a binary code. But given the right instrument, it turns into a movie. Similarly, we have in our causal body, we have a digital impression. But digital is the wrong way to put it. Digital is, I'm using it as an example. We have an impression of everything that we have done, everything that we have lived, everything we've done, what we've thought, all our actions are there. The impressions of it are there. And those impressions are carried in the Karana Sharir. So Karana Sharir is even more subtle than the subtle body. And that Karana Sharir, the impressions of that Karana Sharir play out in your life. So all your Sanchita karmas are in the Karana Sharir, in that little memory stick, right? Of that, let's say 1,000, 100 are taken as Prarabdha karmas. That means those move from, let's say, the hard drive memory or the big memory to random access to RAM, because ready to be played. And then um, the and then during your lifetime, you play them out. And you play them out, meaning you play them out through your subtle body and through your physical body. And then any new things get recorded back. So that Karana Sharir, in fact, the reason why it's called Karana Sharir or causal body is because these Prarabdha karmas and these Sanchita karmas are the cause for everything that happens to us. What body we will take, what lok we will go to, everything we do is determined by these Prarabdha karmas. They are the cause of our life, our existence. When they are done, our life is also done. This life is done. So it's called the causal body because it carries the cause with it, and that cause is these samskars. So samskar is nothing but the impression of a karma. A samskar, when it has been manifested and played out, becomes a karma. That's all. Okay. And then I had a final point, which is dharmic action. I did want to talk about it, but I think this is becoming pretty long. Let's end here, and we will talk about this other concept because it's a very important concept of what is. So, from this perspective, what is nishkam karma? What is sakam karma? We'll talk about it either next week. If we are not meeting, I'll send you another video, or if we are meeting, we will discuss it when we meet. Okay. Thanks, guys, and see you soon.